Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master Dave, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Who? Who?
Who? What?
I have no memory of this place. Was a strange object in front of my face.
That's no moon. Oh, boy. Back again after
2 months? A month?
something like that.
More than a month. Definitely more than a month.
Yeah, more than a month.
Because what do we do? Like 2 episodes of Andor? 1 episode of Andor?
Well,
We're
the
on
first
6.
3 episodes came out,
We're on
right?
6,
So that
yeah.
was 1. So, yeah, 4, 5. So, 3 episodes of Andor then.
And Andor's been done for quite a while.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We're a little behind. Wow.
It's okay.
Hey, I'm
Some
just
things have
happy I'm just happy I remember the intro, you know? It's just been so long.
Not doing it all yourself. You know, just
Yeah.
practice it once a week.
No. Well, folks, welcome back. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus there, and now we're back.
Yeah,
Talk.
usually around the time that everyone takes their Christmas hiatus, we are coming back because why not?
Yeah. So we're going to get back into Andor a little bit here. Realize we missed Tales of the Jedi.
And more importantly, we have our little Studio Ghibli Star Wars compilation with the little Grogu story that's like 3 minutes.
Oh, God.
That's a pretty big deal.
Oh, big deal. You know, I was looking through Amazon recently because Audible re-upped. And
Yeah.
I had forgot I had done that whole... there was a deal a while back where I got like, you know, you buy in for a year and you get 12 credits, but it was like half off, like a Christmas sale or whatever.
Was it not half off when it renewed automatically?
No, and I forgot about it too. But the thing is like, so I get all the credits, and I'm looking around at like what to get. And I was like,
We
oh
have
my
a few
God.
books. We've got two High Republic books out.
There's a lot. No, there's more than that.
I'm gonna go with 2. I'm okay with 2.
High Republic has definitely popped off quite a bit, and there's more in the chamber. There was also like a shoot. Now I won't remember what it is. Something about like it was like a Sith book.
There's the Darth Maul one that just came out. The Legends, not Legends, but what are they calling the ones that they're re-releasing and making canon?
Yeah, I mean like Legends material.
Yeah, but I think the Darth Shadow Hunter I'm looking at right now.
Okay, Shadow Hunter. Yeah, I don't remember what the heck it was, but there are quite a few new Star Wars books, and I was just looking at that as like, my God, yeah, we're behind in that. We're behind in the shows, you know, and it's not like there's not going to be more shows. We didn't even get to discuss the Jedi's Return, which was the Obi-Wan like behind the scenes thing.
Oh yeah, the Disney came out with after Kenobi.
Yeah. So let's just put it this way: we are very behind, and I'm of the opinion that I'm not going to rush into it.
No, because then we'll just burn out and stop again. And you know, I'm very sad looking at my Audible right now because I feel like we haven't done a book for at least 3 months, right?
It's been some time. Yeah.
I don't understand how I have 2 credits. I feel like I should have 4, maybe 5, because I haven't bought a book since our last review. I haven't been on Audible much lately.
What would have been our last one? Was it the New Jedi Order? Probably.
No, wasn't it Force Unleashed?
I don't think we actually got through Force Unleashed, or did we?
Well, I bought it.
I'm actually pulling it back up. Okay, so the last book review we did was Catalyst. Remember, because we were doing like the lead up to Andor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we did the Rogue One review, Catalyst, and The Princess and the Scoundrel. And yes, we did. We did do the Force Unleashed back in August.
I guess we did have a pretty big, run a book. So that makes sense why I don't have a lot of
Well,
credits.
even before that, we had the Padawan book.
We had 1 or 2 High Republic books this year, so.
Yeah, Queen's Hope all the way back in July.
Oh, yeah.
Our last posted episode was October 10th.
That was episode 5 of Andor?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
October 10th. So I guess,
just over 2 months. It's 14th. Yeah.
It's nice. Crazy. So I guess we should tell the people why
how our week's been.
Why did you mess all this up, and why were we not recording because of you?
Oh yeah, it's 100% my fault for the past 9 weeks, honestly. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I just got really burnt out with life in general between trying to balance working full time with a 2-hour commute every day, well, hour and a half. This school full time, the fact that we were having a baby, which we had during the break, and just trying to still have somewhat of a social life and not go into a state of total depression during, the cold season, the winter, which is always a struggle, and that's been fun. But yeah, just total burnout, 100% across the board with everything. I just had to tell a few people, it's like, no time. Because I didn't feel like I was really giving anyone 100% when I was with them, including our recording. So it just felt really disingenuous to keep doing it, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair. You do have to kind of be fair to yourself, and I mean, let's be frank. This is our weekly conversation time.
Yeah, it's an excuse to do something weekly without having to drive an hour.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally all it is. It's not a money-making venture. It's not some giant launching point for our future careers or some ambitious project. It's literally our conversation time that we share with the tens of listeners that listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And the thing is even probably I at the time was probably getting just a little burnout of the content creation and all that stuff, and we
had too much
working
drop at once too.
Yeah,
and that just felt like a mountain to tackle.
Yeah, and I mean we were trying to do a lot of pre-scheduling stuff, being a little bit more organized in what we were expecting to do.
But the thing that killed me the most, it wasn't so much school in general, because I could choose when to do all my classes, but whichever days we wanted to record always lined up with a bunch of Zoom calls that were mandatory. Yeah. It's like, I know this is about to be my life, going into remote work and web development and everything, but having 3 to 4 Zoom calls in one day when you've already worked a 10-hour shift is just obnoxious. And it was...
Yep.
It was really getting on my nerves. This school can't plan any better than just dumping everything the same day. It's you can't let me choose a different day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what time allows and everything. Might be a thing where we need to talk about different days to do things, or even shortening things up, or different subject material, because we've talked in the past about making this more of a variety show.
Yeah, and a lot
as
of
opposed to just Star Wars.
And a lot of channels for Star Wars do 10 to 15-minute videos instead of hour to hour and a half long conversations, and maybe that's a more sustainable model that we should consider at some point. I feel like a 15-minute review is a little too short, but for other topics, might be something to consider. And I mean, we were going pretty strong with our Rings of Power podcast there, which I did finish. I don't think we talked about that on the last podcast, but I did finish it.
I don't think it finished at that point. Yeah.
And then, of course, me just pushing you constantly to watch House of Dragon, which
Still
did you ever get into?
It. No.
I gave you 2 months, man. 2 months.
Yeah, you just haven't.
It's all right. I'm surprised none of the thing has been spoiled for you yet.
I mean, I know bits and pieces of things, but I'll tell you, I think there was really a golden time for, YouTubing and podcasting, at least for a lot of the things that I've seen, and just I think pre-COVID, I think 2018, 2019 were really, really good years for a lot of people for a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah, I would agree with
that. I think COVID burnt a lot of people out because what are you doing? All you're doing is consuming.
Yeah.
And I think now...
Well, there was more to consume, too, because more people had the time to make that content or jump into that field, and it got really saturated.
Yeah. And we're not chasing viral trends and any of that crap either. So, we're not necessarily going to be on the cutting edge of stuff like some people try to be. But I'll also say this. So we were out this past weekend doing a little general shopping and so forth, and it was busier than hell.
Mm-hmm.
It was busy everywhere. People are getting back out again, and I'll say this. I haven't listened to any podcasts in a very long time.
Even
it's not
my
because
mainstays,
I don't like them.
I the prospect of listening to anything like that really just bugs me. I've been trying to listen to more music on my commute, and I have a 45-minute commute. I have a lot of time to consume it, and I get really burnt out easily. And most of my work too. I mean, I typically, I have an earbud in, I'm listening to something, and past 2 months I haven't had a book to listen to for recording or anything, and so I've been kind of burning myself out with certain podcasts, and I just they have their place, but I think it can become pretty toxic to listen to them too much too, honestly.
Yeah.
Depending on the topic at hand.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, I have my library of audiobooks, and I have books that I can, go back through over and over again. Like, my Patrick O'Brian novels. And actually this recently I restarted the Lord of the Rings. So I'm in the Fellowship right now.
Nice.
Which is fun. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody experienced way too much burnout, and I mean, I think we really tried to we tried to push a lot through here too, which is still great, but yeah, I mean, eventually we'll probably have to talk about schedule and all that sort of stuff, and actually figure out what we would want to do long term, and maybe that does involve more breaks, or maybe it involves shorter episodes or something. But the whole thing is we do a lot of talking in the beginning as well, which is fun in and of itself. But I kind of feel like if we were to do a little bit more variety, I think that might be interesting, because I mean we could talk about Bond films. I mean we could talk about, I don't know, flipping anything.
Yeah.
We could do a rewatch of House of Dragon,
A random movie we've seen a bunch of people talk about and been meaning to watch for years, and finally watch it. Something irrelevant that just kind of piqued our interest.
So I think that those are some conversations down the road. Obviously, anybody out there in the listener land, if you have suggestions or whatever, feel free to throw those out there. But and I mean the other thing too is, even leading up to the sort of hiatus, I wasn't posting like anything, because at least I would post on like Twitter, just like, hey, episode's out. I didn't do that for a while, because I was just like, I don't want to do it.
No, I get it.
I don't want to do it at all. So
yeah, and this is that time of year where you kind of, whether you're into resolutions or not, which I'm not, because that doesn't work, it's definitely a time of year where you think, well, how can I trim away stuff that I don't like? How can I do more of what I do want to accomplish in the following year? And so, yeah, I think that's a conversation we should have.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Because, I mean, at the most, there's just going to be 10 of you that might not respond. I mean, you're not going to yell at us. Let's be honest. What are you going to do? You don't even, if you like our content, you don't even tell us. So you're not going to start telling us that you don't like it. I know you won't.
Yeah. I mean, they show us with their downloads.
Yeah.
It is still funny. Every now and again I'll go in there and check, and there have been a lot more, like different countries tuning in randomly. Every now and again there'll be a spike, which always kind of makes me laugh a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, well, that's kind of fun. But yeah, there's certainly more out there that we could kind of explore while interlacing Star Wars content. Because I mean, let's face some realities. Like, has all new Star Wars content been great?
No. No.
Yeah.
I'm not that much of a fanboy that I'm gonna defend everything about it. Even the prospect of going through and rewatching Lord of the Rings, I love the Lord of the Rings. There are parts that suck. Not everything is perfect. I don't have rose-tinted glasses when it comes to Star Wars. I know it has its flaws, but I still love it at the end of the day. But yeah, there's certainly been some pretty crappy content that has come out this year. So
yeah, I mean, we've had our criticisms of like the Kenobi series and even Bad Batch when that came out.
Couple books.
Oh well, books, yeah, they've been real great. Yeah, no offense, but like a lot of the books have not been as good.
Quantity over quality, which has always been an issue with Star Wars. To be fair,
I'll tell you what they need to do. Because I was looking at some of the authors of a lot of the books that I was looking at that we haven't really reached into. They're all the same. I kind of feel like we just need new authors, like all new group of authors to come in and freshen it up.
Well, it's not even so much just dealing with one author. I feel like they're all bouncing off too much of each other's content too.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's exactly what they're doing. Because they get in a room and then they plan it out. Yeah, no, that's exactly.
Storyboarding's important for continuity and canon not being broken, but you are your own person. You have your own flavor. Like, I don't know. I felt like standouts this year were probably like Catalyst, because and obviously that wasn't a book from this year.
Yeah,
but it felt so different than everything else. Kind of like Andor. As a series as a whole, just felt so different than everything else, which is why I liked it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree completely. We just need more new authors.
No, I 100% right there with you.
Because even some of our favorite authors this year have kind of fallen flat for us.
God, yeah. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of that. Claudia Gray, for one.
That's probably the best example.
What was the last book where where the station finally fell? Starlight Beacon finally was destroyed.
That was Crash Point?
Falling Star or
Falling
Crash
Star?
Point? Or, no. Crash Point was another one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it this way. Who cares? It was a bad book.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and I'm sorry.
And when you consider like Master and Apprentice, and then you... I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
You go from something that amazing, and then, it's rough.
It is.
The Fallen Star?
Okay, Fallen Star, yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we were hyped about, I mean, we've said this before, we were hyped about the whole new series, and it just, it didn't really hit. One of the books, I did read a small synopsis, and apparently, like, they're doing a prequel to the prequel. Like one of these books is like a prequel to all of this.
To High Republic?
To High Republic, yeah. It's like set a few hundred years or 100 years before High Republic.
What's the relevance of that?
I have no idea, dude. I have zero idea. I'm so lost with all that right now because obviously we haven't been paying attention. It's difficult. I need to do a book deep dive and kind of maybe see if there's anything out there that is worth getting into. But realistically, this newer era of Disney involvement in Star Wars has produced some good stuff. It's produced some not so good stuff. I know a lot of people really, really hated Andor in the beginning. And then I see everybody who is spewing all that when it get to the finale. It's like, oh no, is great. Oh, I love Andor. Andor's the best ever. It's like, you weren't saying that a few weeks ago. So.
That does go. Obviously, we're not going to get into this because we got a few weeks before we can talk about that episode. But
yeah,
I think that finale kind of forced a lot of people to change their minds. I mean, it was so freaking well done.
Yeah.
That, what choice did they have? I mean, yeah, you look stupid because you've changed your mind so quickly, but what choice did they have?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. But, there's a lot of good stuff out there. And, Star Wars, it has to just, we just need something, we need something fresh, or to be blunt, we need to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because continuing to pump out, I don't even think right now, if they did finally make a Solo 2, I'm not quite sure if that would take off right now. I'm a little worried about like next season of Mando, whenever we get that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of starting to feel like The Last Jedi, the overdose of Star Wars, where it's like, hey, you got this movie, here's another one, and we're not. I won't say it's the same because I felt like Rogue One and Solo were really well done, and I feel like a lot of books that are being pushed out right now aren't at all. But yeah, I think they did not learn from overdoing it with the movies. I think they're just doing the same thing with TV shows and books, and it's hit or miss. Yeah. It's like some of the TV shows have been good, but I think Kenobi needed another year, honestly.
Well, the thing about Kenobi is the story wasn't bad, but there was so much about the execution that wasn't good.
That's why I say I think it needed another, maybe not year, maybe 6 months of post-production. Some tweaking, editing, and polish.
A couple of reshoots.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. But yeah, I mean, that is what it is. So anyway, how was your last couple months? Or how was your week?
How's your month been? Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a roller coaster. Like I said, school was getting pretty.
Oh no, I don't want to hear about
ridiculous.
All that. Just this week.
Oh, just this week. Damn it! I'm going to talk about at least 3 weeks ago because I had a baby. I haven't slept much since then. No, so yeah, we did have our baby. Very, very lucky, very blessed there. No complications, no issues. She's fat, happy, and sleeps more than I'd expect. So we've been lucky there. The only thing we've been running into issues with is getting the dog acclimated to her. She does not want the baby in the house. She just jumps off the couch or the bed or wherever we put her. She's scared of her, basically, which is comical with how much she loves people. But no other issues other than that with her. I'm getting a much needed break from school. For some reason, they decided to give me basically a month off. I finished some courses early, so I don't go back until January 8th or 9th.
Okay, nice.
I'm pumping out my last couple weeks of work. I'm taking the week in between Christmas and New Year's off, the week after that off. Take a nice little hiatus from that whirlwind. Looking forward to some stuff after Christmas. Obviously, we got our Blue Jackets game, some stuff like that. But this week is just kind of grinding along and getting ready for the holidays more than anything. Kind of doing some last minute things that need done, and nothing super thrilling. I'm sure you can kind of hear it. I'm a bit sick. I've taken 2 COVID tests today. Pretty sure I just have a little flu, super achy, little mild fever.
Yeah.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going around. I kind of felt like crap last night into today. Just tired, mainly. Yeah. Just tired.
Yeah. And it's my own fault, honestly. I've been really lax on not taking my daily vitamins, my once-a-day men's vitamins, all that. My immune system's been shot.
Yeah.
And I spent half the day outside in the cold today, so that didn't help it any. So might just take the rest of the week off, I think.
There you go. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Well, good stuff. Yeah, I don't have anything to add. So anyway, let's go ahead and move into our Lord of the Rings finale.
Hey, wait, but before that, are you buying the new Pokemon? Are you going to do it? You still got your Switch? Yeah.
There's a new one?
Yeah, there's a new generation that just dropped.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. You get it? You get 2 Pokemon?
It.
No Pokemon?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I saw the last one that they released, and it didn't quite do it for me.
Yeah, I haven't played for a while, so. And I'm not getting it. Colin's getting it.
Yeah,
and I'm definitely never going to play it.
Yeah, sure. That's what they. Okay, yeah, we can get it. We see what's going on here. Okay.
Yeah. Although apparently now they you just you're walking around and the Pokemon show up in the overworld instead of walking through tall grass and them randomly showing up like when we were growing up, and they're just making it lazy at this point because I've seen videos and your Pokemon follows you around outside its Pokeball, whatever your first member of your party is. And they'll just start a battle without you initiating if you get near them. And then they just win the battle and get XP and level up. You don't pick the moves that they use, anything. It's that's super lazy. And
so it's just a straight up baby game.
Well, I mean, you still have battles, but half the time you're just running around watching the animations of them bumping into each other until one faints.
That's fun. You know what I think would be cool is if they literally just did the original Game Boy game, but just for Switch.
Well, I mean, they kind of did with the Let's Go games.
That's not the same thing.
It's not. It's very easy compared to
what I want is the exact game.
Oh, no. They did release that on the Switch. You can buy the old red, blue, and yellow versions on the Switch.
What? I can?
And not only that, they made it so you can transfer all the Pokemon you get from those games into the Let's Go games.
Oh, I want that now.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
They're $5. I bought.
Sheesh.
I bought Yellow.
I'm gonna do that.
I bought Yellow. That was pretty sweet. I enjoyed that more than Let's Go. I just played that again.
Okay, very cool. All right.
Yeah, so actually, they started coming out with. They started doing that for every generation. You can buy Gen 2 and I think Gen 3 now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is cool because all of my Gen 2 games were corrupted, and it's hard to find them now for less than $40.
Yeah, that is expensive. That's crazy.
And I don't like emulators.
About that Lord of the Rings finale.
It was okay. No, I mean, I kind of saw it coming with Elendil. Is it Elendil? No. What's his name?
Who are you talking about?
The guy that ends up being Sauron.
Oh, Halbrand?
Halbrand, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of saw that coming.
I think everybody did. Everybody kind of figured that out.
Yeah.
And they were definitely doing
there hasn't
the Blue
been
Wizard.
A king. There hasn't been a king in the north. Not king in the north, but I can't think of what it was in 1,000 years.
It's I mean, it's I don't know what you're talking about. I told you from the beginning exactly who I was. Come on, Galadriel, you're just kind of dumb.
She is kind of dumb in this show. It was a cool ending aesthetically, just like the show was kind of cool aesthetically. That's about it.
It wasn't bad. It was fine. It did get eviscerated though.
Oh,
finally, a lot of people who were shilling it in the beginning really started disliking it towards the end. I think
I can see why.
I have to give them some credit because they weren't really working with the complete history. They only had access to so much. And the one thing that the thing that I liked was the interaction between Elrond and Durin. I kind of liked that part of it, but the rest, I mean, Numenor was fun to see. Obviously, if they continue the series,
but I didn't really enjoy anything that happened in Numenor all that much, except for seeing Isildur. That was it. And his dad is awesome.
Yeah, Elendil and Isildur. So that was neat. And obviously, we know what's going to happen to Numenor. And I assume that's what they'll explore if they even are able to do it, because it was not popular. And as much as it was supposed to be, it really wasn't popular.
Yeah. And I think the thing that probably not a lot of people would agree with me on, but I didn't enjoy more than anything was our elf and human romantic couple. Everything that they had happened to them was really uninteresting to me. And it's not so much that I wasn't willing to, it wasn't because they were new, untold characters with new stories or anything like that. Just none of it really caught my attention.
They were a little vanilla, and the lady looked way too modern. I said that in the beginning.
She had just way too much makeup on.
Just way too modern. It's like, I just don't think you're of this age, to be fair.
Well, what elf is going to settle for anything less than a woman with thousands of dollars of makeup on? It's an elf. They're petty.
I guess so. But yeah, it was what it was. It probably should have been better. It wasn't horrible, but it also it needs some improvement.
Yeah. And one thing that I'll say that I hated throughout the entire series, but now I'm more open to, is the whole Uruk-hai thing with the tainted elves. I hated that. I know that that's something that his son canonized. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying I didn't like the concept at first. Yeah. But now looking forward, thinking of, new seasons, maybe watching their descent, their final turn could be interesting, because there'd be a lot of psychosis with that. They'd probably be going through some stuff.
See, that's the thing.
That dude was way too menacing compared to an Uruk-hai from the movies. Oh, yeah.
But the problem is that J.R.R. Tolkien, double R, he said along the way that wasn't how the orcs were supposed to be. Now, Chris Tolkien, might have put around in it, but that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And I kind of get it, but that's a lot of elves, bro. Yeah. So I personally was I don't think so.
Right.
Now, corrupted elves, I could absolutely see that.
I feel like that should be more special of a thing than
the one
foot
guy
soldiers, because that's what they end up being. I mean, they're higher ranked than orcs, obviously, but they're not as cool as what this show is making them out to be. Put them up there with the Nazgul, make them special.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, but anyway, that's the Lord of the Rings minute.
Yeah, and our House of the Dragon minute that doesn't exist because you haven't watched it.
Dude, Great I'm telling you, if we decide to do a variety, we'll go week by week and we'll analyze it, and we'll be just a Contingency Plan Podcast, a variety show. I'll get a new logo done. It'll be fine.
I'm fine with it. Just. Yeah. Are you going to do a logo with all the nerddoms we're into, all amalgamated into one logo?
No, I'll just get our two faces animated on one of those modern apps. I just want us to turn into really basic cartoons, and it'll just be our cartoon faces and a little circle in the Contingency Plan Podcast, a variety podcast.
Just do instead of a black background, just do a poster wall background with all the different nerd stuff that we're into or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we can have t-shirts that rotate week to week.
T-shirts. Yeah. Hey, we still have the Cod Pass t-shirts that we need to do.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I like the Cod Pass. That'd be sick. Yeah. All right, dude, you ready to get into this Andor here?
Yeah, I figure it won't be a super in-depth review of the episode. But, I am ready.
So, big question. Did you rewatch the first 5 before you watched this?
Rewatch? No, I didn't even rewatch this completely. I scrolled through it. I remember the episode. It was actually a pretty cool episode. So
Okay. Good. Yeah, because I
now if I remember any of their names, I'll be shocked. Because we do have the crew of Expendables in this entire episode. So.
Yeah, that is true. But essentially, we've went through this whole arc of planning this job to steal credits from an Imperial base.
Yeah, and there is still definitely a lot of mistrust between our cast.
Right. But this episode is the culmination of all this planning and what a lot of people called a slow start. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, still tired. Not bored with the episode.
Yeah.
But you have the slow start that people said again, finally culminating. And I told you along the way, I like sometimes when you slow things down a little bit.
Well, and you know, that's the one nice thing about having a 12-episode arc instead of 6. You can actually build out the story a little bit and make the crescendo a little bit more impactful, unlike Kenobi.
Look at you using music terms. Crescendos.
I don't know. I have the attention span for a longer running show, which I think is the problem nowadays.
Yeah, well, for sure. But anyway, we kind of start out with everybody in the hills, and our group of natives are coming through the valley to witness this event, the Star event. Which, did you ever watch much Stargate, like SG-1?
No, I didn't get into Stargate.
There was an episode where one of the guys got trapped on a planet that was experiencing regular meteor showers.
Mm-hmm.
And they just saw them as like, oh, falling stars is super cool. But when the group went on the planet was when like a major event, like the asteroids were getting way too close and they started destroying stuff.
Right.
So the main guy, Jack O'Neill, was stuck on the planet. Because the Stargate was buried.
Right.
And he had to live there. But it just made me think of that because in that scene, you just saw all these balls of fire whizzing by. And it's just like, this eye thing kind of looks a little dangerous. Are you sure that this is good?
Yeah. Very well done, by the way. They put some effort into this meteor shower.
It was cool. Another thing that I did like was when we had some of the dialogue between the Imperial officers, talking about, the groups here. It's like, hey, it used to be thousands of people coming to see this, but we put like rest stops along the way and conveniences, and now it's only like a handful anymore.
Yeah.
And just kind of seeing their manipulation of events. And then even there was a part where our main guy, like our commander of the base, was like trying to get into like his dress uniform or whatever, and he couldn't quite get the belt on because he's getting fat and so forth.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Just little things like that. We're really at the Empire's height here.
Yeah, this is what we were looking forward to during all the trailers and speculation of the show, was just the gluttony of the Empire, and I think it's really well shown here. It's super relatable. Like, this could totally happen. Like, you could definitely see them being this way. It's not over the top. It's just it's slightly ridiculous, and I love it.
Yeah. Excuse me. Now I'm coughing. Yeah, it is. It's realistic.
Yeah.
It just feels very realistic. Even when our lieutenant, our rebel lieutenant, is like talking to like the radio operator guy, and just a lot of this stuff, like they don't think that they can fail at this point. They're almost relaxed, but they have so much tech around them, so many weapons, so much fear that most people won't ever try them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Lieutenant gone, by the way.
Gotcha.
Just found him.
I won't remember that.
Another thing, beginning of the episode, I really appreciated, and he has definitely become my favorite character out of all these kind of unlikable band of misfits, is Karis, the youngest one, or idealistic.
This is manifesto.
Yeah, which becomes really important later on in the story, which I thought was pretty cool. But
can I just stop you right there and just something you just pointed out? How unlikable our band of rebels are.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
I don't either.
They're crazy mistrustful, which I kind of understand, but they all seem really kind of petty, and there's no leadership, and nobody wants to be led. Everybody wants to like bark out orders and stuff and like try and keep people in check, but
doesn't it
really
just feel
as a
like
team.
Doesn't it feel like how the rebellion would have started, though? Honestly,
that's why I like it.
It's such a stark contrast to the Empire. I think that's what they were going for.
Well, contrast this. So one of our guys here was a former stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Contrast that with Finn. So Finn's this goofy, jokey character that you're supposed to love. Well, this guy is a stormtrooper. Like he's a legitimate stormtrooper, and he's trying to command
he's
because
not
that's
sanitation.
all he knows. No, he's not sanitation at all. But he, there's really not a sense of humor here. And I think that that's where, like, when we talk about the realism of Rogue One, I think that they translated a lot of this into this series really, really well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why Andor gets along with him more than, say, our Weasley little Arville. I think it's Arville.
Yeah, the guy who kept trying to challenge him throughout the past couple episodes. Yeah. Well,
but even like the characters later. Yeah, we will. But even like the characters that don't have a lot of development, like Cinta,
Oh yeah.
Who almost seems even less trustworthy because she doesn't talk. She doesn't really interact with anyone. She's just off on her own. She's only loyal to Val. Only reason she's there.
Yep.
And even kind of going later into the show makes it really clear that like she's not as important to her as she makes it out to be. Like the cause is the only thing that matters, honestly.
Yep.
But there's no likable people other than Lil Karis, which makes me like him even more.
Well, I mean, talk about Val a little bit, because like she's supposed to sort of be like the commander of the unit, so to speak. Yeah.
Which Luthen put much too much faith in her, honestly. I feel personally.
Yeah, she doesn't necessarily have great leadership qualities, and they don't really follow her. And even when it's time to go, they're all set up, and it's like, it's like, call it. And she hesitates so much. It's like, you've been preparing for this. It's finally time. And it just proves that, one, you don't really have faith in your team, because if you did, you'd be ready to go. Or two, you don't have faith in the plan, which means it's like, are you a believer in the plan? Do you think this will work? Are you afraid of dying?
Well, the plan wasn't really well planned out. I mean, they didn't even really consider what vehicle they'd be stealing. Andor kind of blows away a lot of their idealistic ideas of the plan working.
Yep.
When he basically says, you don't even know how to operate this thing. What were you going to do without me?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other big thing. Without Andor, this would not have worked. Yeah. Period.
And Vel also comes off as the type that, like, I think we've all dealt with that kind of middle management where they relay information from the real management. Everyone gets all annoyed, and they're like, I know, I don't want this either, but this is what we got to do. And that's her as a leader. Like, she's along for the ride more than anything.
She not ready.
Yeah.
Not ready is kind of what I put it out as.
And don't mistake what I'm saying. She's a well-made character. This is all clearly intentional. I mean, she's not meant to be a perfect character, and they just messed it up. I think that this was all very intentional, and I think it adds to the show. But it's definitely worth talking about. She is memorable because of her flaws.
Yeah, you know who she not reminds me of, but sort of situationally who she reminds me of? Nora Wexley from the Aftermath series. Now, the difference is that Nora grew into her roles very quickly. She was adaptable. She wasn't a leader, and she knew that.
And she had motivations. Obviously, Snap was a big motivation for her to do what she had to do.
Right. But in a lot of ways, and it was dealt with in the book, like, she trailed going through the Death Star and it blowing up. Like, she wasn't ready for that. Yeah. And even the eventual kind of hunting down the Empire, the Imperial remnant and everything, she wasn't really ready for that either. But she found her team of people that she trusted. Now, that's the big thing. People that she trusted that had specialties.
Yeah.
And, you had the commando, you have your your bounty hunter, you have Sinjir, you know, the spy, you know, well, the interrogator, spy, whatever you want to call him. Like, they were a complete team, and this team it's not a team. They went in here and they're not even a team. So that's the big difference between, you know, the potential underdevelopment of a character, where Nora was able to quickly adapt, and she also was able to put together an effective team that helped her grow as well. Whereas when we look at Vel, she's underdeveloped, she's not very adaptable, and she didn't create a good enough team to help support her inequities. And that has led to a very messy situation here, albeit successful in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of see also with her interactions with Luthen, he has not helped her all that much, honestly, other than picking out a few people here and there to help.
Yeah.
He has given her full... It's almost like a parent testing their child.
Right.
Like, completely taking the rails away.
Yeah, and I mean, Luthen, everybody's kind of flying by the seat of their pants right now. Yeah. But regardless, let's go ahead and go through this a little bit here. So we do start our infiltration. By the way, did you enjoy the AK-47 style blasters?
The budget for this. I will say that anything having to do with Andor, they do. All the guns are also really cool, but at the same time, they don't do a lot to change them. Just like his sniper rifle, you know.
Well, so in Rogue One, his rifle in Rogue One, Andor's, was based off of an AR platform.
Yeah.
It was just a little bit more disguised. This is basically just an AK-47.
Yeah. I mean, they couldn't even like change the stock or something to make it look a little bit more futuristic.
They just went into the props department.
Yeah.
But regardless, so we go through here, we capture the governor, we hold his family hostage and a few officers hostage. We get one kill. One of the officers was killed after he had kind of tried to stop this initially. We are able to get into the bank vault. We are able to get to the credits. We are able to load the credits by using some of the Imperial folks who are in this hangar. And then, well, as with anything, things start to go awry.
It goes to hell.
Yeah. Well, our blackout of the comm channels eventually is it fails. We get a couple of guards that come through and sort of, hey, what's going on here? Hey, you can't be here. This is a secret mission for secret people. No, get out. But like, why are you taking all the credits, man?
Yeah, and we get our first, around this time we get our first death, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's where, how do you pronounce his name? Terraman? Is it Terraman? Or Stormtrooper?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you alluded to, it does kind of wind up being a bit of a bloodbath here. Who are our survivors here? Put them back in my head.
We have Vel. Karis gets onto the ship. We have Arvel, and Cinta's not even part of this. She's kind of off on her own.
Yeah, what happened with her? Do you remember?
I don't remember what her role was, to be honest.
Well, so she was guarding
planned for her not to be part of the infiltration group.
Well, see, so she was guarding the comm center in the main comm center.
Yeah.
Or what command center maybe would be more appropriate.
Right. Yeah, and we don't really get anything with her, to be honest. Like, not a whole lot happens.
Yeah. Andor gets a little rear naked choked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he gets saved by the kid.
Yep.
Which was fun to see, because They had a little bit of a relationship there. I think
they did. Yeah.
Andor spotted the naivety, and the kid's kind of like spotting his jadedness, so to speak. And it's kind of one of those deals where it's like two people on the opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess. And they're trying to come to some sort of middle point.
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately near the end, Karis actually really, really has a lasting effect on Andor, which I think is cool because he was, again, my favorite member of the crew. I guess we could just kind of jump ahead to what happens with him if you want to.
Go for it.
Yeah, so worse luck, really. I mean, we've gotten our ship. We're heading out into our meteor field. And Karis gets pinned between a couple of supply crates and is paralyzed because of it.
Might be the dumbest thing.
It really is.
I thought it was
I was mad because I really wanted that kid to pull through. I was really pissed what happened with him. And it was actually a pretty... Well, is that in this episode or is it the beginning of the next episode? No, it's in the end of this one where he's getting surgery and basically just dies on the table.
Yep.
Really sucks. Really a character that I liked. But it was also one of those things that kind of goes back to a bit of Andor's comments about his past life and things that affected him.
Yep.
So yeah, does suck, but we lose him. We lose our stormtrooper, and we do technically complete the mission.
Yeah, no, I do think that the escape here was kind of neat. So we're actually sort of going into the eye, and our boy Wonder here is sort of navigating for Andor.
Yeah.
Part of the thing that really kind of irritated me, and I think it's intentional, is Andor's like, where do I go? Mm-hmm. And nobody can tell him except this kid.
And then they kill him off right after he's not needed anymore.
Yeah. I kind of wish he would have taken a blaster bolt. I think that would have been more apropos than
especially
just
if it would have
crushed.
been one of those things like nobody realized that he was shot and he never announced it until it was too late. I think that would have been kind of cool.
Well, it would have been like one of those things like, I didn't even feel it.
Yeah, yeah. Or I didn't want to mess up the mission or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit better as opposed to just getting crushed and then dying on an operating table. But, I mean, either or, I thought from the beginning he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah, no, I expected him to be the first to go, honestly. So he did impress me in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So
go
getting
ahead.
ahead to our favorite death of the episode.
Well, yeah, let's just set it up. We were effectively on a potential route back, even though they still weren't telling Andor where to go. But, who's our other guy? Arvin, you said? Or Arvel?
Arvel.
He had said, well, there was a, there we go. I just caught the end of that. So our other character did wind up just walking out of the station. So she's fine.
Cinta,
yeah. So she just walked away. Yeah. Anyway.
She does that a lot in this show.
Yeah, pretty much. So Arvel says, hey, there's a doctor built into this as like a contingency. So they wind up going, and it's one of the species that Maz is, looks like.
Yeah.
What were they? What was their species? Interesting. Okay, yeah. Are you going to tell me what they are? It just says, I don't know. Whatever. Don't care. But not enough.
This is like our only... This is what, our second of that species?
I think so.
Star Wars? I don't think they're in any of the books.
I'm sure it's not like exactly the same. This one had like 4 arms. I don't think Maz. Yeah, Maz didn't have multiple arms.
Yeah,
it definitely looks.
The skin's
like
right, but it almost reminds you more of the our pilot in Solo.
Oh yeah, with the multiple arms. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
So regardless, kid dies, and while on the operating table, as you alluded to, Andor is just out with Arvel, and they're talking a little bit, and good old buddy's like, "Hey man, there's a lot of credits over there. Like, we could just split it 50-50 and get on out of here. I know a sweet place we could go to."
Well, and with the just setting that up a bit, they're kind of coming to terms with dealing with each other. They're kind of starting to understand each other through this conversation, and it seems like things are going somewhat well. So you do kind of get taken for a loop when it's revealed that, he's basically just a scumbag,
Yeah, that was a little weird to me. Personally, I thought it was going to be a test. Mm-hmm. Like he was testing Andor, and then that they, yeah.
Well, the fact that he blew up so much about the fact that Andor was just in it for the money. And essentially he was covering his own ass by doing that, like making himself seem more loyal to the cause than he really was.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the moment where Andor's like, "Oh yeah, I can't trust you. You're too manipulative."
He also, said that because they had that whole brother sob story, but he didn't have a brother.
And admitted that he didn't have one. And at that point, it's like, oh, well, I can't trust a single word you said because I trusted you then.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, I think he misjudged Andor from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think he thought he was a scumbag, and it's like, maybe this scumbag will work with me, but he's not. He's not a scumbag at all.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Solo's mentor.
Oh, yeah.
During the monologue when he just ups and shoots him. And he's like, "Yeah, it's probably a good thing you did that." I feel like it was the exact same scene, basically.
Yeah. I personally, I felt very satisfied by this whole thing.
Absolutely.
Andor reads it. He knows what's going to happen, and he just guns him down.
And by the way, is Andor just the fastest shot in all of Star Wars at this point? Like, does he beat every bounty hunter? Because I think he does.
Yeah, I mean, that dude didn't even have a chance to react. He just straight up pop. And then we see where our kid, is dead. Andor comes in with gun drawn because at this point he doesn't even know if he can trust Vel.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, honestly, that's probably the smartest thing he could have done.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he could have trusted Vel at this point.
Right. Well, it's tough. It's tough, but the whole thing is, he's like, "I'll give you 30,000 credits for what you got in the barn. Take the Kyber back. Where's the guy? Where is he? Oh, he's not here anymore." You won't be needing him. And Vel's like, very kind of pretty hostile towards Andor at this point. I don't know what to, I just don't know what to think about her. I'm hopeful that, like, there's something more, because at this point she's just kind of setting herself up as like a sacrificial lamb at some point later on.
Yeah. Yeah. We get into her backstory a little bit, and they try to make her a lot more sympathetic, I think, going further into this season. But honestly, she could disappear from the show, and I don't think it would affect it much at this point. I feel like her part has been played. There's really not much left for her, in my opinion.
Right.
I would say at this point, she would just end up being like a sacrificial character for Mon Mothma more than anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in the end, Andor leaves.
Yep.
And Vel is left to basically, drive the credits in, I guess.
Yeah.
Beat, big pile of money.
Yeah.
And then we kind of get into, towards the ending, where our intelligence agency here is getting together, realizing this huge thing that's happened. And we also get a scene with Mon Mothma on the Senate floor talking to nobody.
Yeah. Wasn't that sad? Like, it just kind of went to show that Luthen's completely right throughout this series that the only thing that will get people to start standing up to the Empire is forcing them to commit atrocities, you know, because everyone's just asleep. No one sees what's happening. And I thought this scene really plays into the beginning of A New Hope when the announcement that the Senate's been just basically disbanded. I think that kind of adds to it. It's really cool in a way. Yeah. But talking about our intelligence agency a little more, kind of becoming two of my favorite characters in the series. Daedra Miro, I don't know, she's probably a lieutenant, and then Major Partagaz. Really cool characters. Really well done. Their back and forth is one of my favorite parts of the show, honestly.
Yeah, that is an interesting part. Obviously, we talk a little bit more about that when we get to it. But our final scene, we get Luthen just cracking up because he won.
Yeah.
I was convinced he was just going to tear off his wig and like throw it.
Yeah. I love Stellan. Stellan's just a great actor. And Luthen is one of the coolest new characters, I think, in all of Star Wars. To really see like the treacherous side of the rebellion and how much deceit it took to actually bring it to fruition, I really enjoy his character. Because he essentially made the rebellion possible.
Yeah.
Along with Mothma's credits, obviously.
I mean, let's not give Mon Mothma too much credit. We'll figure that out later.
I will say, without talking much about it, I have a different opinion of Mon Mothma after watching this show. Yeah. After finishing it.
Well, here's the thing. That'll be something for later, and I think it's definitely something to talk about as we go along too.
Maybe dive back into her books so we can ruin it and hate her again.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, good episode overall.
Absolutely. Well, let's pick up the old IMDb. There should be plenty of ratings on here. I'll pull this up, and how about you give it a score and why?
Yeah, what are we doing? Out of 10, right, for the show?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I shall give it a solid 7.9. Just a good overall episode. The build up to this point, you know, we had talked about how it's nice just to have a few episodes setting up a big heist, unlike what we've gotten with Kenobi and some other shows. I thought they did the heist really well. Enough went wrong that, you know, it doesn't make any of these characters look super overpowered. You know, that's something I kind of want to touch on. I didn't get the chance earlier. I feel like Star Wars is trying to make up for the whole Mary Sue thing with too many characters being overpowered with this show overall, because everyone is super flawed. Even Andor, he's not perfect, and that's proven in the next half of the series or the season. You just have a ragtag group of really basic, simple people, and they got really lucky. And that is sometimes the most entertaining TV you can watch. I like this episode, even though it kills off half the cast for moving forward. But overall pretty decent.
All right. Well, IMDb rates this episode as a 9.1 out of 12,511 votes.
I'd be interested to see what it was when it first came out. I'm sure that was probably a lot lower.
What did you give it again?
7.9. So pretty low in comparison. It's hard not to score a little lower because I know how good the series gets now. I don't want to pin myself in a corner.
Terrible. So I would say, you know, good episode, good culmination. I think that, you know, it is kind of hard to rate build-up episodes super high. because they're just building up to something. And if the payoff isn't worth the build, then, you know, all those scores are deservedly low, and that final pop of an episode is also going to be really low. To take a page from another universe in the Star Trek universe, Discovery has always been a show of a build-up. Every season is just a build-up to a finale, and half the time it's been very disappointing. So I would say that the build-up for this was well worth the kind of execution, I would say. So we're meeting Andor, we're recruiting Andor, then we're going on this mission for how many episodes? 2 episodes, I guess. Mm-hmm. And this would be the 3rd. So I mean, I like the culmination. I thought it was really well done. It felt good. I think it highlighted a lot of really good things about, you know, the era in which we are, the people that are involving themselves in the rebellion. You know, when we watch, you know, the original series, we get a very idealistic version of the rebellion. Everybody's a hero, but in order to start a rebellion, I mean, it's the old adage, isn't it? Where one person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist. Mm-hmm. And these people are all terrorists, and they're ragtag, and they're not necessarily the best and brightest of society, and because they're just getting started.
Well, it's almost like there's a division between them and the rebellion. Almost like... Yeah. I mean, they cause the heroes to take arms. They aren't the heroes, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, think about Rogue One, where everybody was just then getting together. Mm-hmm. Like the rebellion was just a bunch of splinter factions that were doing their own thing, and there wasn't a ton of inner coordination between all those groups. So right now we're seeing, you know, really the proverbial birth of all of it. So yeah, they're all going to be very disconnected and just flying by the seat of their pants. But I thought it told a really good overall story so far with Andor, and we'll obviously get into the rest. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I don't think I'm going to go like crazy high, because the only thing that would seemingly just press down is that I'm not necessarily sure that this is something that I want to keep continuing to come back and see and rewatch and rewatch. Whereas like there's stuff in like The Mandalorian that I can go back and rewatch and have a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you know, it was a great moment in time, and that's what it was for me.
It is something that would be great to rewatch right before a rewatch of A New Hope, just as extra filler. But it's not something that I would go back and rewatch solely on its own like you could with Mando. Mando, you don't need to have a rewatch of anything else. It doesn't really tie into anything. It is just its own piece of entertainment.
Yep, absolutely. So for that, I'm going to give it an 8.4.
Okay.
And yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good with that as a rating.
Yeah. I clearly scored too low. It's okay.
It's fine. All right, man. Well, anything else we need to talk about before we go ahead and walk on out of here?
No, I don't believe so.
All righty. Well, folks, hopefully you enjoyed the return here. The return of the
Mac.
The return of the boys.
Return of the Mac.
Return of the boys.
The return of the Mac. Got it. Damn boys.
Once again. All right. Well, you know, we'll obviously, you know, continue to do things from time to time, and hopefully be regular.
See you in 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, we should be a little bit more regular now, but yeah, I mean, there might be some restructuring coming up, but just stay tuned and keep us on your downloady list and all that good jazz. Now, as I alluded to earlier, I'm not real big on updating social media, but you can still reach out via Twitter or Facebook at TC Plan Podcast. Or, you know, if you have anything you want to chat about, just send us an email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll bring those up in a future episode. But I think that is it for us. So you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.